It's just like my sister Anila, more like a series. No wonder they come from the series. But in the 5 minutes, I'll cut it short and leave out one part of it for another time. I want to tell a story about searching your destiny and looking for it your own way. My name is Jackson Odong from Uganda. I was born in a family where I started experiencing conflict before I knew the word conflict. Because my father had so many wives and my brothers and sisters are over 15. And then I started resolving conflict before I knew the word conflict resolution. And how did I do all the things? One, born in a terrain, a world of harsh world, you have to rise up and defend yourself sometimes when you're confronted. So it drove me I chose to learn kickboxing. And I started training a bit, I got the skill. And then over time I said, okay, this skill is enough for me. At least to understand why people fight, how they defend themselves, how I can defend myself. I need to do something more, like Anila said, and something different. So over time, I loved music so much. And I got into music world by being a toolbox. We call them toolbox. In Dutch, Martin had told me the name.
Rodi.
Rodi. You know, these young people who connect these speakers, carry them, help here and there, carry the wires, tie them here and there, as a way of learning how music comes out from such equipment. Born in a remote world. And found myself playing music different from this, where it's loaded in the computer, but we used to use CD players and cassette players, like tapes, and then you're rolling it, and then putting it there, and music comes out. So it inspired me to always compliment. So when the disco joker could fall asleep, it is me who takes over. Not until I played a 2-year dance, I call it, because it was a street bash, welcoming a new year. And we used to welcome it just on the street. And then I asked myself in the middle of the night, said, what kind of disco joker will I be 10 years from now? I think this is not the vocation I need. So I chose to leave it and went to serve in a guest house, where I got the turning moment of my life. And I learned a lot of lessons, probably I'll share with you at the end. What did I learn? Many things. One, I learned how to, of course, dress beds, clean rooms, cook breakfast for the guests, which gave me very nice skills to be a good person in future and self-sustaining and independent for that matter. But one interesting thing happened, kind of funny. One day I wanted to be smart the next day. So I decided I had ironed very well in advance. I'd washed, ironed like a week, and had my clothes hanging in the closet. So I had prepared the next day. So I decided to relieve myself. So I polished my shoes. And usually shoes are the least things men actually put on. So I polished my shoes, put them aside, and when I put them aside, I went to take a bath. The next day, of course, I polished like a night before. So the next day I woke up, did my usual work, cleaned up, and when everything was okay, I went to the bath, took a bath, came out of the bathroom, dried up, cleaned up, freshened up, and dressed smartly like I am. Left with one thing to put on, and it was only my shoes. And up to now, I don't know how interesting it was that the first shoe entered. So when I picked my shoes after dressing, I fitted it very well. And you know, men's shoes also sometimes is easier. So this one, I had lenses. So I dressed that one, I tied it, it was okay. I picked the next shoe, I put on it, but it was not fitting my leg. Something which was strange. Because how can the other one fit and this one is not fitting? So I didn't know. So I picked my shoe. Usually, and being a karate player, you don't even need to sit or do something. You hold it like this. So I picked my shoe. And then thinking it was a stocking. So I dived my hand inside, very comfortably and innocently, and then picked the stocking. I thought it was. And then when I pulled it out, I noticed it was a snake. So, it was interesting. Because from an innocent mind of a stocking that it's irritating you, you want to be smart. So when I pulled it out, on noticing it, I had to separate the two. And then I didn't know that I didn't even build a resilient heart as a kickboxer. So I dived out of the house. And when I was out of the house, one shoe on, out the other, and I was failing to think. And then quickly, I was confused. Luckily enough, the snake was also confused. So I looked around and I saw a broom, a cleaning broom, and then my conscience came back and said, I need to kill the snake before it disappears. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. So I picked it and, of course, had my courage and killed it. But the drama continued. Because after that, of course, I had to put on the shoes. I couldn't go out without them. But that evening, I moved with my friends. And as we were moving, every time I would walk and the snake comes in my mind, I just jump from the blue. And then I had to tell my friends this story because they were wondering, what's happening? I would just walk and imagine like there is something moving in the legs. But what did this story tell me? I had paid little regard for my environment. I was sleeping in a house that had a high door. I was not paying attention to details. So it taught me to be critical and to pay attention to details. And that was the beginning of my journey to being critical and to finding my destiny. Thank you. I think the other part